Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Alright, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. This is another fan film review for Horror Month. This is the second episode posted today because the other one was just a fucking shit show. So we're going to be talking about another fan, or I don't know, once again, we've kind of talked here and there about like what exactly constitutes a fan film. I'm going to count it just because fuck it, why not?
Alright.
If I did something like this with a modern story, it'd be considered a fan film, but because this is a classic story, it's not. That doesn't make much sense.
You're right, Ian. That's a perfectly logical conclusion to make. I agree.
Okay, thank you.
And my personality type is the logician, so I would know.
Okay. Anyway, Rascal, what are we talking about?
That's so stupid what I just said. We're talking about the Telltale Heart fan film.
Yeah, and this is done by Bad Apple Studios. It's actually, like, really old at this point.
Can I begin this with a cool story about the Telltale Heart?
Hold on, let me just say this.
Yeah, go ahead and say that. But
it's really, really old at this point. This came out almost exactly 10 years ago. By the time this video is posted, it'll, like, be days away from being 10 years old. And it's the very first video I ever favorited on YouTube.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, your story.
Okay. Okay. I didn't want to forget this. When I was a sophomore, I think it was when I was a sophomore in high school. My school had magnet programs, and the magnet that I was in was visual arts. And I remember our school, sometimes people would come to my class, like outside people, for like concept art ideas and stuff like that, and like album covers. Like people that had like local bands would come to my school and our magnet, and they'd come and ask certain kids if they'd want to like do art for them. And one of the things one time that we had to do, everyone in the class had to try to create like a visual image, some sort of artwork about like Edgar Allan Poe. And I remember I did the Telltale Heart, and mine was awesome. It was really fun.
Yeah, that is cool. And Telltale Heart is my favorite Poe story. It's one of my favorite horror stories, period. Bill and I, last Horror Month, we did a series of episodes on short horror stories. We did The Monkey's Paw, Telltale Heart, trying to remember, we did an H.P. Lovecraft story, but I can't remember what it was. I think it was like the Beast in the Cave, maybe. Oh. And then we also did the like first issue of Tales from the Crypt. Well, we did the Telltale Heart because I love the Telltale Heart, and that kind of reflects in that this is the very first video I ever favorited on YouTube.
Oh.
Once I had an account.
Origin story.
Yeah, I was looking up, different things, and I stumbled across the Telltale Heart, and I was like, oh my god, yes. And I really remember being in love with this back in 06, or I probably found it
way back in 06, man.
Yeah, I probably found this by 07 or 08, not 06, but still, like, this is something that, I kind of think about a lot, which is, I guess, more than I can say for a lot of the videos I've favorited on YouTube.
Swear.
I don't know, like, I come back to this and watch it every couple years now, and I really, really like this thing. It's not perfect. It's I don't know. I think you'll probably like it more than I do because this kind of follows your general rule about what you feel more fan films should be.
Yeah, I think that, so for starters, I look at this different because I think that the people making this, they're actually trying to use, I guess, tools of filmmaking to shoot this on just a like directorial level, cinematography level. They're trying to actually use filmmaking techniques. So they're like actually trying, so I put this in a different category from a lot of other fan films where this I felt like it was they were very deliberately like, I think that the people who made this were like probably in film school or something like that.
They call themselves Bad Apple Studios, and if you look on their channel, it looks like they've gone into like the actual industry.
Oh, so that's okay. I think that this was like maybe made at a time when they were kind of just like making independent stuff or something like that. But they're actually like trying here. I think this was like they were like, let's take this story and then let's just do it as like a modern kind of like suspense thriller little story, you know. And that's cool. I like that. And so like I look at this on a different scale. So I judge this more critically than I will a lot of the other ones that we've talked about, a lot of the other fan films that are more just like not people that are filmmakers, they're just fans of a show and wanted to make something because they're fans of a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
So
like how did it come off?
But yeah, I think this is really cool. And I think that if it was like a little bit longer, then it would have worked a little bit better. But I think that one of the aspects that you get from the actual story of the Telltale Heart is like the weird, horrible like living conditions it is when you live with this guy with this creepy eye, and like how like he's so like creeped out by this dude and his just disgusting eyeball. And the story like really stresses that, like that's so uncomfortable for him, and that like it like keeps him awake, and he's like paranoid by it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that it would be cool if you could get more scenes of them actually living together, and it wouldn't have to be like a lot, just like kind of like showing that guy's day-to-day life with this guy, with this creepy eye, and like getting into the character's psyche a little bit. If they added that on, if they could do more there, that would have been awesome. Other than that, I really like most of the rest of it.
I'd actually contend with you a little bit there because, you know, it's really easy to forget about this, but technically speaking, it's lucky that this could be as long as it is. Uh-huh. Because this was posted in 2006 when YouTube still had the 10-minute limit.
Oh, that's ridiculous, dude. That's awesome. Okay,
so they do a lot of work. And I think they do a pretty good job of showing you just how unsettled the guy is by this dude's eye in that 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay. I'll retract that because I gotta respect the old YouTube and the bullshit that was the internet of that time.
Rasco was just a young lad.
I was on YouTube, though. I was heavily into YouTube. I was making YouTube videos back then. I was in like the third grade.
God, I feel old.
Was this 2006?
Yeah.
I think I was in the third grade.
My God. I feel so old. You probably deleted all those accounts. I wish I could go I could literally see you grow up, Rasco.
Dude, I've had so many. I had a YouTube channel for every phase of my life.
You've deleted
when I
all
was
of them.
in elementary school, I made these kind of videos. When I was in middle school, I made these kind of videos. And then when I was in high school and up to now, I've made these kind of videos.
That's really funny. You're gonna contact me after you get out, or in a couple of years, be like, I want you to delete all of the videos that I'm in with you because I feel like I've matured past that point.
I talk about taxes now.
Yeah. It's not happening. But no, it's just it's really funny to see how old this is, and yeah, I do think it is important to remember because you might not remember it well, but I do. I remember the 10-minute limit and how.
I remember it, dude. I remember that.
I remember just being so upset that my videos could not be 10 minutes, but like some people could have like 10 minutes and 3 seconds. I'm like, God damn it, I want those 3 seconds. And this person, of course, has like 10 minutes and 30 or 40 extra seconds. I'm like, that's bullshit. I should get that extra time. And then they did 15 minutes, and then they did unlimited. So it's like, it's interesting to look at from that perspective. I have, oddly enough, nostalgia with it. But I will say, I feel that they do the setup in a modern context fairly well. What I don't like about this is that they really, really shorten what is the bulk of the story, which is the guy peering through the crack in the door at the dude's eye with like a flashlight or whatever. They really, really skip over a lot of that and condense that down, I feel, too much. And then there's the big one, and a million people left it in the comments, which is, why did you change the ending?
Yeah. I think it's because he couldn't do the floor thing.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have to be the floor. Like, he obviously stows the body away in something, and so you could just show him opening up
like
that.
he pulls his garbage can out and dumps it out. It's like, come on! I guess there's more fucking garbage can! Like, yeah.
Yeah, like, there are a million other ways to reveal the body parts. This didn't not change it in that way. This, like, completely changed it.
Yeah.
To, you know...
What the fuck's gonna happen now? Like, yeah, like...
Yeah, like, he's almost like a slasher villain by the end of this.
Part 2. The Telltale Heart 2.
Mm-hmm. And, like, what really bothers me about that is you almost cannot call... not almost. You can't call this the Telltale Heart. It's... The Telltale Heart is it tells a tale. The heart forced him to reveal the truth in the original story. So that's like just a massive... To do him killing the cops is a massive misinterpretation of the sequence.
Dude, yeah, you're absolutely fucking right when you say that. Oh, shit.
And that's my biggest problem with
that's
it. And like, I've known that since the beginning when I first watched it. I'm like, well, they changed the ending, and that kind of contradicts the point of the original story.
Yeah, that's a perfectly reasonable thing. That's perfectly reasonable critique, I guess. Like, oh, wow, and I noticed it too. I was really expecting the traditional ending. Like, I kind of had it in my head like that he wasn't going to actually cut open the floor or anything, because I knew that that's not what he did with the body at that point. But I thought that maybe they would do something more traditionally like the ending of that. But then to see him just go crazy, I was like, okay, this is new.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. It's certainly an unexpected ending. I saw, while I was waiting for you to finish this, I was reading through the comments, and I saw a lot of people saying my literature teacher, my English teacher, showed this to me in class in 9th grade or whatever. I'm like, well, that's interesting, but like, it's not the story, so I don't feel that this is appropriate for a literature class because of the change to the ending. It's still interesting. Like, I feel like this is an interesting companion piece to see, like, how people have evolved the story, what people have done with it. There's an amazing version of the story where it's like, it sounds like the most boring thing ever, but it's not. There's an amazing reading, essentially, of the story where Vincent Price, in era-appropriate costume, just sits on a stage and tells the Telltale Heart word for word in like a one-man show monologue kind of thing. And then at the end, he just rips up the floor and pulls out a beating heart. And it's awesome. That is my favorite version of the story, because like, Vincent Price just pulls your ass in. This is interesting. It's interesting to see a reinterpretation. It was certainly an unexpected twist, but I feel like it undermines the point of the story to do that. Which, when you're talking about adaptation, I feel is, room for critique. Like, I wouldn't critique, I wouldn't critique The Raven, the John Cusack movie, which oddly feels more like an Edgar Allan Poe fan film than
I was
this.
thinking about that while we were talking. I was like, ooh, I remember that movie.
Like, that feels like a really weird, kooky fan film to try to put everything Edgar Allan Poe did together and such a hokey premise. This feels less like that. It's certainly their version, I guess. You got anything to move on to?
I was going to say that the bathtub scene, some of the editing in there was a little wonky, and it was because they were trying to like make the hits look real and stuff like that, and so they had to cut certain ways. And some of the cuts were awkward, I think, and that was kind of a weird editing wise.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that was more the actor, obviously pulling his punches with the machete. Or not machete, with the hatchet, more than it was the editing, I feel. Because I feel like they had to cut around the fact that he was obviously pulling his punches. Or swing, you know what I mean. The one shot there are a couple shots in the bathroom that I really, really liked. And that was when he pulls off the leg. That's like obviously just a Halloween store prop, but the way they do it, the fact that it's in kind of shitty video quality, it makes it look so realistic.
Yeah, and like that's just cool practical filmmaking. Mm-hmm. I'll say this. There were, and because like I'm looking at this more critically. Okay, here's just like one thing that I didn't like, but one thing I also really did like. So there was two really cool shot. There was one cool shot choice and one weird one that I didn't like. So the one that I didn't like is there's a shot where it's in the bathroom and so pretty much how they shot it was like the camera was looking at the bathtub and then it turns to him or like him dragging the body out of the bathroom, and the way it turns. Okay, so there's like I know what they were trying to do there, but the way they did it, it made it really obvious that a guy was standing there holding a camera and that he's moving around the shape of his own body to like move the camera, like he's like stuck in the corner cramped between the bathtub and the thing that like the counter to his right, and that he's like standing in there trying to like shoot the. It was kind of funny. It was just like it felt like a vlog or a documentary for a second, and it was just inconsistent with the rest of it because the rest of it is very well shot and like really well blocked off or really nice compositions from really interesting perspectives. And then the next shot was a really good shot, so it made that one stand out as like this really funny kind of like clumsy shot that doesn't blend in with the rest of that scene where he's dragging the body out. And
okay, what was the good shot?
The good shot is like it's like doing a weird like Dutch angle, and it's like him dragging the body, and so like his head from his perspective, like he would kind of be seeing the room sideways, and so it's like the camera's like tilted with his head. And he's like dragging the corpse like across the floor and into another room, and it was really cool. It was like diagonal, and I was like, yes, I like this.
Okay. I think the one shot from the bathroom that I really, really didn't like is when he's pulling the body into the bathroom, and we just get like, and the way that they cut the shot is to have his butt run into the camera lens.
Yeah.
That's just... Like, I like when things do that, like, the person walks into the camera and that cuts the shot. I've done that in some of my own stuff. Yeah. I don't like it to be a dude's ass. I wouldn't like it to be anyone's ass.
What are you, a homophobe?
No, I wouldn't want it to be anyone's ass. It's just awkward and, like, it verges on kind of silly. The other shot, though, that was in the bathroom in a later scene, or later on in the whole dismemberment scene, is when he cleans the bathtub. I really like those sequence of shots. Just I thought that looked really, really good. As someone who's cleaned fake blood out of things before, that's funny. Just brought back memories. When we were making one of my movies, there's a scene where my bud Bobby is being interrogated because we were making fun of Wanted. He's being interrogated, and we wanted to make it look like he got punched in the face and then got like a bloody nose or like blood was shooting up out of it.
Yeah.
So we just had him hold a bottle of fake blood, and we were in my friend David's kitchen, and Bobby's back was to the camera, and so, like, his head's in the middle of the shot, and then David's there, and he does, like, 1 punch, 2 punch, and then goes in for the uppercut, and he does, and Bobby, like, really, really squeezed and, like, you know, jolted the bottle, so just blood, like, fucking exploded out of the thing, and it actually got all over David's mom's kitchen, like, on the fucking ceiling and everything. So, for a couple hours, because it was summer, we're trying to clean up before his fucking mom comes home, and we just go to fucking Dollar General and buy, like, white spray paint and start painting the ceiling.
Oh my god, what the fuck? That's a ridiculously terrible way to solve that.
It worked, she didn't notice.
Are you fucking kidding me? Did it, like, smell like spray paint?
No, we turned on the fans, opened the doors and windows.
That is ridiculous. The hell?
Good times. No, so just like cleaning up fake blood, that just brings back memories from that time in my life and stuff too, so. I don't know, I quite like this. I think it's a much, you know, thinking about it, it's either this or the Harbinger fan film that I think are the best ones we've talked about this week. Or this month. Would you
what else have we talked
agree,
about this
disagree?
month? What else have we talked about this month?
We talked about Kruger, we talked about The Thing 2.
Kruger, the Legend of Elm Street. I'm gonna call it that forever. Kruger, the Legend of Elm Street.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So we talked about Kruger, the Legend of Elm Street. We talked about The Thing 2. We talked about Harbinger, the H.P. Lovecraft fan film. We talked about that god-awful piece of garbage that was Creepshow. And then we talked about this. Which would you say is the best?
Yeah, the two that you say are the best are definitely the best. This and fucking,
Harbinger.
And Harbinger, yeah, that was pretty good.
Which one would you put on top?
Fuck. I'm gonna say this one was... I was more compelled watching this one just because I knew the story, so I was excited to just watch this because I knew, like, I was very familiar with it. I'm not as familiar with Lovecraft, so... Well, I'm somewhat familiar, but I'm not, like, very familiar with Lovecraft. So I can't say that I was, like, going into that, like, oh, okay, this is going to be awesome, Lovecraft. Like, Lovecraft's someone that I'm aware of his presence. I know why he's revered. But I've yet to really dive into the Lovecraft lore. So I wasn't, like, immediately as intrigued by that as I was by this one. Just knowing more about it.
Gotcha. You know, it's interesting. I think I'm just going to go with the Lovecraft one because, you know, it obviously has more polish and it just it used something that could be just like a really weird, stupid gimmick. And I think it used its thing to make itself work better. That being said, for the limitations that this one obviously has, I think they worked within those limitations really, really well. I really do like this. This is still one of my favorite things ever found on YouTube, but I just find it weird that I got the chance to finally talk about it with someone. It's interesting.
Why don't you go cry about it, Ian?
Yeah, I know.
Pussy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to bring up anything else, or do you want to go on to ratings?
We can go on to the ratings if you're ready to.
Okay. They got 2 episodes this week, so they can deal with 2 shorter episodes.
Yeah, suck it up, guys.
Right? Anyway, I'll go ahead and give this... I think a 4 is fair. I'll give this 4 out of 5 eyeballs floating in a cup of coffee. Let me just mention, sound design is actually pretty good for the time, too. I really like the beat of the heart when the eye is in the coffee. That's really, really great moment.
I'm gonna give this
I'm gonna give this and so this may sound lower than this may sound kind of low, but I'm looking at this kind of differently than I have. I'm being much more how I would critique like a film instead of because like I kind of have a different perspective when I come into these fan films than when I review like normal movies and stuff like that. So I would say that I'm looking at this more on like an actual movie type of scale where like I'm actually looking at it as objective as I can, and at the same time acknowledging that my subjective bias makes me really like this. So I will say that this is probably a 3 out of 5 warm cups of coffee shared with a friend at a table out of 5.
Okay. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, Geeky Gentlemen Fan Film Reviews will be taking a hiatus. We're entering History Month and then Holiday Month in November and December, respectively. And while there are some fan films that can fall into both of those categories, it's just too narrow, and there's not a lot of variety to pick from. And I just don't want to feel like we're bending over backwards trying to find things that fit, even if we don't really care for the franchise it's based off of and all that stuff. So we're going to put fan film reviews on hold for a couple months. They will return in January. But Rasco and I will still be doing extra episodes of Geeky Gentlemen for your listening pleasure. And since next month is the start of History Month, we will be, Geeky Gentleman History Month, we will be discussing the first 2 volumes of DC Comics Bombshells. That's issues number 1 through 12, for those of you that are curious. Or chapters, I don't fucking know, because they release it online first, and it's goddamn impossible to keep up with. Anyway. Yeah, we'll be talking about that next time. All right, everyone, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I am the Walrus.
And we're your Geeky Gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.
Ah!